you're all doing well. So we are finally home. We are so happy, so grateful. It's been a little over than a month now, and we've had our ups and downs, but we are so happy to just be home, slowly get into like our routine and everything. So I thought I would give you guys an update, let you know how everything is going, how Kylo's doing. So I will be talking about that today. So I have my notes again to not forget anything. So like I said, it's been a little over a month. We were lucky to finally come home because every time the doctors would say, okay, we think you're gonna go home, something would happen, we would have to stay. So I think like the last week and a half before coming home, they would send us home for a few hours at a time. So it was mostly on the weekends, just to see how he would like handle the transition, how we would handle like taking care of him at home with like the NG tube, the medication and all that. So that was a help. The kids were so happy. At first I was a bit hesitant, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it would be hard for Kylo to like come home for a few hours, then go back to the hospital. But he seemed to deal with it pretty fine. And I was also worried for like Noah and Vega, but they were just happy to see him. So they knew that, you know, he was gonna eventually come home for good soon. So that went well. And yeah, it was a Friday afternoon. He actually slept home on the Thursday, and we had to go back to the hospital Friday morning just to do some blood work and everything. And if his levels were fine, they would send us home on Friday. So I went there with no high hopes or anything. I went back with him. I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. If we go home, good. If we have to stay another few days, it's not the end of the world. Like every single time that we got our hopes high, something would happen. So I just didn't want to get disappointed again. But luckily all of his blood work was good, so they gave us the okay to go. I was alone because I think it was a pet day and the kids were at home with Joe that day. So I was there, so I had to like pack the car with all the stuff. I think I went back and forth like 5 times with all the stuff that we had. And then when it was time to go, all of the nurses, the doctors, the nutritionists, the physiotherapists, everybody came in his room. It was so cute. It was so sweet. He was so cute. They got him little gifts and they were clapping and he was clapping. So it was a really, really emotional, nice moment. But we were so, so happy to finally come home. So that was the Friday. So I'm not gonna lie, that weekend was a bit crazy. So we went from, you know, like one of us being at the hospital with Kylo and then the other one being at home with Noah and Vega, who are old enough to pretty much, you know, be a bit more independent. And boom, we're back together as a family of 5. So, and the kids were home that weekend. So it was very, very busy. But Noah, Vega, Kylo, they were just so happy to like be together. It was really sweet to see them finally back together, but it was a crazy weekend, I'm not gonna lie. So the weekend passed, the kids went back to school on Monday, so we were back to, you know, like Joe and I with Kylo, we were able to, you know, give our attention to him. What was hard in the beginning as well is that, you know, when we were at the hospital, the nurses would prepare the medication, give him the medication, get his milk for the NG ready and all that. So they would take care of most of those things. So now that we were home, we had to get the medication ready. We had to make sure to give him, you know, the right quantities and all that. So it's like triple checking ourselves to not make any mistakes, because we cannot afford to make any mistakes with these medications. So it was, you know, it was something else to have to like get them ready, make sure we're not making any mistakes. And he has like quite a few medications that he still has to take for a few months probably. But yeah, that was something. And then at the hospital, we would have him plugged to this little machine for the milk to go through his NG. But at home, to have him plugged while he's like crawling around, playing was a bit difficult. So he would drink whatever he had to drink. In the day, if we had to give him extra milk, we would just push through a syringe. And then at night, whatever he didn't get in the day, we would give through that little machine. So he's in his bed, he's not moving around. It's also something we had to, get used to. But it's going well. Now we're like in the beat of it. So, we're getting his medication ready. We have to take care of his NG, and we also have to flush his PICC line. So basically, to make sure that there are not any blood clots that form in the PICC line, we have to, they call it flushing. So basically, it's like saline water that we push through, and then it's heparin that we also push through. We have to make sure like our hands are clean, we disinfect, like the nurses coached us for that, so that was good. So yeah, we do that every day. So there's like little things here and there that we have to make sure we're doing, and we have to make sure we're doing correctly. So it's not just taking care of a regular 16-month-old. So that was an adjustment, but we've come up with tricks every few days to make things better. So now I have a system where like I'll get the medication ready in the afternoon for that night and the next morning, so that in the morning we're not rushing, because the first few days I would just get them ready as he needed them. So he needs to take quite a few medications in the morning and at night, and he has his magnesium that he needs to take 4 times a day. So it's not so bad. The magnesium is a pill that we crush, we give him with some puree. So it's not like he's getting many medications throughout the day. But the first few days I would get everything ready like as he needed them. And sometimes like it was school mornings and we're rushing. Okay, we have to get his medication ready, make sure we're not making any mistakes. I just realized it wasn't working that way. So we asked the pharmacist if we can prepare the medication a bit in advance, and they told us that at the hospital they would do it like 24 hours in advance. So I'll prepare them in the afternoon for his night and in the morning. So at least we get that done. I have like a little chart on my fridge with all of the medications, the doses and all that. And I used to like check it off every single time I would prepare the medication, but now I just like look at it. So I made myself that sheet. So it's things here and there that you can do to help yourself, but you don't really know in the beginning how to do. So it's like as you go, you find tricks here and there for that. So that is one of the adjustments we had to do. Also, what's important is that we have to, keep the floor as clean as possible, like not walk in. Well, we didn't really walk in with our shoes anyway, but try to keep it as clean as possible because he's always on the floor crawling around and everything. So that was, we just had to make sure it was extra cleaner. Also, we have to make sure that the kids are not kissing him on the face or his hands, because they put their hands on their face and all that. And because Noah and Vega are at school, obviously with the virus and everything, we have to be more careful. But they're pretty good like with their masks at school. They know that they have to be careful for their brother. And we obviously can't really have people over yet. He's still on the anti-rejection medication and the steroids. So the steroids are actually weaning him off the steroids at the moment. So every week or two they're going down. So he's at a very low dose of the steroids now. But the anti-rejection and the steroids are both immunosuppressors. So because he has no immune system at the moment, we can't have people over. So we have a bubble of like my parents and my in-laws, but because of his situation, we can't have like friends over, like parties and stuff like that. It was Noah's birthday in April. We couldn't have like a party at home or anything like that. But the doctor said once he's off the steroids, at least that will be one immunosuppressor less in his system, so they would feel a bit more comfortable if he would see people outside. But until he's off both of those medications, we still have to be careful because he has no immune system. Can easily catch like viruses at the moment. So we're just extra careful with that. First few days as well, I would check his temperature regularly because there are certain things that we have to look out for. So like fever, like bleeding, really bad rashes, like dehydration, stuff like that. So whenever like those things happen, we have to call at the hematology oncology clinic at the hospital, and they will guide us as to where if we have to go to the emergency right away, or if we could just wait and go to the clinic the next day. We're not really like checking his temperature every single day, but like I'll feel him to check if he's warm, because obviously like if he catches anything, we have to, you know, talk to the doctors and see what the plan is. So at the moment, he's going to the hospital once a week for his checkups. So when he goes to the hospital, they'll do blood tests to check his levels of everything. They'll change the PICC line dressing. Once a month, they change the NG tube in his nose. There's also like a transfusion that's called IgIV that they have to give him about once a month. So like there's a few things that they have to do every week. At first, we thought we were going to be going to the hospital 2-3 times a week. And because he's very stable, everything is good, they're comfortable with us going once a week, which is great. So he's standing and he's holding on, taking a few steps. Like he has been thriving so well since he's been home. He's been talking a lot more. He repeats everything. Like I see such a huge difference in him, like from the hospital and at home. Like I think the fact that he sees Noah and Vega like running around, talking, it just encourages him to do these things. Appetite is not great, I'm not gonna lie, it's really not great, but they've been going down on the steroids, like I said, every week or two, and that affects tremendously the appetite. So it's like he doesn't eat much, and then when, you know, like he starts getting better, he starts eating a bit more, then they go down on the steroids, and then he doesn't eat anymore. So it's like a constant battle, but we don't force him. He gets basically everything he needs calorie wise with his milk, so we just have to make sure he gets his, you know, the quantity that the nutritionist asks us to give him per day, and everything he eats is kind of like an extra now. And once he's off the steroids, when we're going to be a bit more comfortable, we can maybe give him less milk, and he'll probably be more hungry to eat. And obviously with not having the steroids anymore, like he'll be a bit more stable. I'm sure his appetite is going to be coming back, but we're not really worried about that. We are not forcing him to eat. It's not, you know, a regular situation. He's not, like I said, a regular 16-month-old. So we just let it be. We always like put him in his high chair when we eat. So, you know, breakfast, lunch, and supper, he's in his high chair. I serve him his food. It's there in front of him. Sometimes he'll play with it. Sometimes he'll take a bite or two, but we do not force him. The only thing that we have to force him to eat is basically the puree with the magnesium, because the magnesium, he does need it 4 times a day, because the anti-rejection medication makes your magnesium levels go down in your body. So he needs the magnesium supplementation. So that puree, sometimes he won't even want it, but we have to unfortunately force it. So yeah, that's pretty much how it's been going, like appetite wise. But other than that, everything has been going well. He's like a happy little baby. He does have his mood swings when they do, when they wean him off the steroids. You know, like it affects the mood tremendously. But, you know, as long as we know what's going on, it's okay. But, you know, he's very easygoing, very happy. He's really, really happy to see like his brother and his sister in the morning. Like when they wake up, he's like, Ega, Ega. He can't say Noah yet. He calls her Ega. Like he calls them both Ega. But really nice to be home and just be all together finally. It feels good, you know, like it's just nice for all of us to be home.